Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it is my greatest honor to address you from California. For on the 1st of March, International Women's Month, I had the honor and privilege of being led by ANAMA and the International Eurasia Press Fund to the minefields of Azerbaijan, particularly Karabakh. I've walked many minefields in my life, and to me, the devastation which you saw mile after mile after mile is a call to action for humanity. The call to action for the Sustainable Development Goal is a serious one, as we are witnessing in Ukraine and worldwide. In 1997, I began Roots of Peace with a vision of turning mines to vines. It was shortly after the tragic death of the late Princess Diana, who catapulted the issue of landmines to the forefront of the international agenda and brought to my consciousness the fact that there are an estimated, again, 60 million landmines silently poised in 60 countries. A quarter of a century later, I continue our work with Roots of Peace, reclaiming the land, and tragically, those numbers have not improved to a mine-free world yet. I began my footsteps of the first millennium in Croatia in January 2000. There were an estimated 1.2 million landmines, UXOs and cluster munitions left behind from the Balkan War. And through Cromac and the generosity of the Napa Valley vintners and Mijenko Grgic, who was Croatian-born, who won the Paris tasting, put these beautiful wines on the map. He went to his homeland and was devastated, much like Karabakh, to see where these beautiful vineyards had once flourished were now mine-affected lands. I look back at Croatia now and think in the past 25 years, we have now seen that country go to one of the top tourist destinations in the world. So I believe that peace is possible, but only the underpinning of peace begins with the removal of a single landmine, and the planting of a single grapevine is an act of peace. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, I continued this journey shortly after 9/11 to Afghanistan, the most heavily mined country in the world today. An estimated 10 million landmines, yet conversely, it is a country which is the highest agricultural production and source of jobs. And I'm very grateful to those in the audience for today, even though the fall of Kabul happened on August 15th, 2021, Roots of Peace has continued to train over 8,000 farmers. And we have helped to keep the economy going with $10 million in agribusiness and sales. Now, while we cannot export, what we did achieve is the business of peace. Throughout the past 20 years, with the funding from USAID, currently I manage $30 million under contract and $45 million from US Department of State, INL, International Narcotics and Law Enforcement. We are restoring these lands that are riddled with landmines and restoring Afghanistan to the breadbasket of Central Asia, to the garden of Central Asia. And we took the exports from $250 million in 2014 to over $1.4 billion. Now, as I went through the beautiful grape vineyards of Karabakh that once flourished when Ahmud was a young boy, I realized that peace is possible, but only from the bottom up. The business of peace we need to focus on as we now enter the United Nations Landmine Awareness Month is to bring forth and call forth the Sustainable Development Goal number 18. I think this is so absolutely important so that we lift up these countries where we're currently working. In the 1970s, when I was a student at the University of California, Berkeley, the Vietnam War raged. Yet, in Vietnam today, we are training over 10,000 farmers. And with support from our partners with MAG, we are removing over 8 of the landmines, over 100,000 landmines and UXOs and cluster munitions remain in Quang province. 80% of the land is still riddled with these explosive remnants of war. But the best black pepper in the world grows in Vietnam, and we are exporting, again, that beautiful black pepper and selling it on supermarket shelves. In conclusion, I would like to say that we consider what is happening, the horrors of war that we are all witnessing in Ukraine. And remember that this is the spring planting season. We must lead with shovels and not swords, and realize that this country that is so agriculturally productive, 10% of the world's wheat is grown in Ukraine, 15% of the world's corn, and half of the world's sunflower oil. Now, if we cannot plant, we reap what we sow in the fall and the harvest. I look forward to working with my partners, with the International Eurasia Press Fund and ANAMA, to seek a harvest of hope. It will take time, it will take patience, it will take money, but Azerbaijan should be ground zero for the potential of turning mines to vines. And while we do not ferment the beautiful fresh grapes that flourish in the Shamali plains north of Kabul, we are training over 1 million farmers and families in Afghanistan. And we need to double down on the investment in peace. And I am so proud of our partnership with UNDP and CBARD. We again are leading with the shovel rather than the swords. I'd like to quote the Isaiah Wall, located across the street from the United Nations. In 2002, it was graciously bestowed to Roots of Peace by the late Secretary General Kofi Annan and Mayor Michael Bloomberg. The words etched in stone are respected today from the Old Testament, whether we're Christian, Jewish, Muslim, or people with just good hearts. Those words I quote, "May they beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks, so that nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore." Thank you very much.